This video was influenced by one of our users who got in touch with us today with a really interesting question, and I thought rather than just sort of telling her the answer, I'll do it via a video because it's something other people might be interested in, and it demonstrates really the power of calculated columns. So what she wanted was, in one of the columns in her grid, she didn't just want to display the value, but she wanted to display a count of how many other rows in the grid had the same value, and that had to be dynamic, and she wanted to be able to do this at runtime with any column at all. So to give an example, let's imagine here in this language column, we don't just want to see TypeScript, JavaScript or HTML, but we want to see for each of them how many rows there are in the grid which have that number. As I say, you do that through calculated columns. Currently, we need to do it through 2, but maybe over time we can finesse it so that actually we can use 1. But let's start and show you what I mean. So the first thing we need to do is create a calculated column that will have the count. So let's call this lang count. Let's give it a nicer name. We'll call it lang count. And then the expression is a scalar expression because it uses essentially more than one row. It's a kind of grouping number of rows together. And you can see there's lots of different functions you can use in a scalar. Most common is sum, but in fact we're going to use count because that's what we want. We want a count of that. And we want a count of language. So if I put language here, we can now see how that will now tell us how many rows there are in the grid of language. And of course, therefore there'll be 25 because there's 25 rows. So we need to finesse this by adding a group by, and we're actually going to group by language itself, because essentially we were therefore saying for each row, tell me how many other items there are in a language column which have this language value. Let's make that resizable in case we need to change it, and you can see AdapTable knows that it's a number. So now if we finish, we've created our calculated column here, and what we can do is we can put language count visible, and then we can stick it next to language, and we can see now we have 9 TypeScripts, 14 JavaScripts, and 2 HTMLs. Again, obviously this is live. So for instance, if I was to edit this one, so instead of being HTML, we make it TypeScript for the moment, then you can see we've now only got 1 HTML and TypeScript's gone up to 10 from 9. But if you remember, what our user wants isn't just to have a column with the count. She wants a single column which has both. So to do that, we need to create a second calculated column, and we'll call this full lang. And this time it's going to be a simple scalar expression. And in fact, we're just really going to append the 2 columns. So it's going to be whatever's in the language column plus, plus let's open the brackets, plus our lang count column, plus let's, close the brackets. So essentially all we've done is we've just merged those 2 columns. Again, let's make it resizable. Let's create the column. And now if I go to full lang and I make that visible and I put it with the other 2, we've now got what we wanted, TypeScript 10, JavaScript 14. And in fact, we can now in fact hide the other 2. And I hit the wrong one, pardon me. We want full lang. And there we are, we've got that. And even though this column is derived from another column, obviously it's still editable. So as we say here, we've got TypeScript 10, JavaScript 14. So if I change this to JavaScript, then we will have 15 JavaScripts and 10 TypeScripts. So let's see if that happens. Here we're using our action rows. These are a nice way of providing safe data entry because you can have an event, you can have a last look, and you can control what's editable and how it appears in the drop down, etc., etc. So as I say, we're going to change TypeScript to JavaScript. It's currently 10 and 14 respectively, but when I click save, you can see that's 15, and then all the TypeScripts are 9. So there we are. We've got a dynamic column that is showing me the count of all rows in the grid. and it's doing it as they update. And as I say, it's using 2 calculated columns. And hopefully that was interesting. If you'd like to know more, please get in touch. We'd love to give you a personalised one-to-one demo, or indeed our free, no obligation trial license. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to hearing from you.